Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming to you guys with a video breaking down my top 10 TV episodes from this year in 2021. Alright, so this will be my third countdown video looking back on the year in TV in 2021. So far I've done my top 5 TV shows of the year and then my top 10 most memorable performances of the year. And so this one, I'm a little late, bear with me, but this is my top 10 episodes of the year. So yeah, really enjoyed putting all these together. And this one too, I feel like I tried to include a little bit of variety here. So some of these episodes are from shows that weren't necessarily some of my top, they weren't in the top 5 TV shows of the year. They weren't some of my favorites of the year. But just, still episodes that were really noteworthy, that were really memorable, that I really wanted to talk about and kind of share my thoughts on. So hopefully, it kind of gives me an opportunity to do that, and also an opportunity to hear what you guys thought of the year in TV. And again, these don't necessarily have to be from your favorite shows of the year, but just some episodes that really stood out to you, right? From even shows that maybe you didn't enjoy as a whole, but this episode really stood out. So, and I've had a lot of that in the last few years. With TV, I found some episodes are just so memorable to me. And yeah, maybe the show wasn't, my favorite or wasn't that great, but some really good episodes and just some really good direction or writing or acting that really makes them stand out. So that's just something I thought I'd try to highlight here in this video, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And also, if you agree or disagree with some of the episodes on my list, love to discuss that with you guys as well. And if you enjoy this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel as well. Would really appreciate that. But without any further ado then, let's get into this one. So we'll have my 3 honorable mentions first, in no particular order, and then we'll get into my top 10. Like I said, I tried to include a little bit of variety here, so hopefully there'll be some more shows that I haven't necessarily talked about a lot on the channel, and we'll kind of dive into those. But anyways, first, let's go over these 3 honorable mentions, and like I said, no particular order for these. So my first honorable mention then is Season 1, Episode 6 of Resident Alien, titled Sexy Beast. So this is the only episode from Resident Alien that'll be on this list. And I thought this one was the best. This one and the episode before it, episode 5, I think it was titled Love Language. These two really stood out to me, and I just loved the storyline that was going kind of through both of them, but especially in Sexy Beast in episode 6. Basically, we have Alan Tudyk, amazing performance throughout the entire season, and I felt like he really reached his peak here when his girlfriend, which is, he's inhabited this human body and he's an alien, and so the actual human's girlfriend comes to visit, and he has to act like he's a human, and so that she doesn't figure out that he's an alien and all this stuff. So the whole kind of stuff that goes into that, I just really enjoyed, and some of the gags here in the episode with him drugging the girlfriend so that she doesn't find out about him and all this stuff. So just a really funny episode. I feel like it was the most comedic and where the comedy really landed. Almost the entire episode I was like laughing and engaged in this one, and I can't say that about all the episodes, but yes, it was funny. There was a lot of good comedy throughout, but I felt like this episode was just the most kind of, balanced, really, really landed, and just really well fleshed out kind of characters. With this one and the way they interacted as well. And also we get the introduction of the new Doctor, which is a huge part of the second half of the season for Resident Alien, and will certainly be probably a part of Season 2, which is coming in just a little bit, so that's really exciting. But yeah, I think this episode is probably the best from Resident Alien Season 1 this season. Really enjoyed it a lot. So, alright, so next honorable mention is going to be Yellow Jackets, Season 1, Episode 1, The Pilot, and that's the title of this one. So, I thought this episode, now, of course, I have seen the entire season now. Just last night I watched the finale of it, and I'll share more of my thoughts in my monthly recap coming up just shortly after this one. I thought the pilot, I thought I would highlight this one because there are episodes that I feel like maybe are just more shocking or more memorable. But I thought the pilot really laid out the groundwork for what was so great about the entire season here. And again, I did talk about this in my top 5 TV shows, so I'm not going to go too far in depth, but it's not a groundbreaking show. I don't think it's a, crazy good writing, directing, everything kind of firing on all cylinders. But it is so intriguing and so original and so fresh. I feel like a lot of the cliches of these types of stories, like kind of some Lord of the Flies, kind of mystery, horror, crime, all these things into it. I feel like a lot of the cliches they actually avoid in this pilot episode, and by doing that, they kind of set the bar for the entire season, and they really come through on that. So, yeah, I just really like this pilot and introducing us to these characters. I feel like they did a great job of that. I actually would have liked to see a little bit more of kind of the plane crash that happens at the end, that we all know is coming, but they actually didn't spend that much time on it in this episode, which I would have liked to see a little bit more of. However, saying that, what we did see at the very end of the episode is so memorable and so shocking that it really gets you hooked right at the end of that pilot. And I just really love that. So, yeah, can't say enough about Yellow Jackets. Really surprising season for me. And like I said, there's probably more memorable episodes later in the season now. But the pilot, I just thought the best to highlight here. And again, kind of laid that groundwork for some of the best elements that we see in those later episodes. So, really great stuff here in the pilot of Yellow Jackets on Showtime. All right. So, a last honorable mention before we get into the top 10 is going to be Hacks, Season 1, Episode 5, Falling. This, to me, was the best episode of Hacks. I feel like the comedy landed the best out of any episode of the season. Now, I wasn't completely taken aback by this season of Hacks. I thought there were some really great elements, and again, it was really pleasantly surprising, I will say. I was better than what I thought it would be, and it's also really just not my kind of thing. I think I talked about that when I talked about it in my monthly recaps throughout the year. It's just not really, my kind of show that I usually watch and that I'm interested in. But I did find it really funny, and I think Gene Smart and Hannah Einbinder were standouts. They were really great, especially the chemistry they had together was really impressive. And in this episode, they actually don't have much chemistry because they actually don't have a lot of scenes together. It's mainly just the plot with Ava, with Hannah Einbinder's character, and her, I guess her kind of one night stand, or one night hookup, who I don't want to spoil it, but something happens to him that has to do with the title of Falling, and it turns out to be a really, really funny beat in this episode, and then it kind of just follows that the whole second half of the episode, and Ava kind of dealing with the fallout, if you will, of that situation. And then we do get Gene Smart's character, Deborah, kind of coming in as well at the end of the episode, and kind of helping her out. So, yeah, I just feel like the comedy was the best here. Just laugh out loud funny throughout this episode. And again, some more of the dark humor as well in this one, which I really liked and I think was one of the best elements of the show for sure throughout the season. So, anyways, just wanted to highlight something from Hacks because there was a lot of good episodes, while the season to me just wasn't amazing, right? It wasn't on that top level. I feel like some episodes were on that level and were really great. So yeah, really great to highlight that one. Season 1, Episode 5, Falling from Hacks. So that'll just about do it then for my honorable mentions. Now let's get into the top 10. Alright, so at number 10, we have the first of a few on this list of Succession episodes. So this one's going to be Succession Season 3, Episode 2, Mass in Time of War. So this one I felt like was maybe the best written episode of the season. I just really loved the dynamic in this one. I believe it's about half an hour of the episode, actually, or 20 to 30 minutes of the runtime was this dynamic of Shiv, Roman, Kendall, and Connor, all the kids kind of gathered together at Kendall's ex-wife's apartment, right? Of course, them all gathered in the apartment, and him trying to convince them to come on his side. And I just felt like it was some of the funniest kind of sequences, or some of the funniest dialogue, and just that interaction was just so comedically great, but also really dramatically great as well, in the way that it kind of falls out towards the end of the sequence, and all of them are kind of, mad at each other, can't even stand each other, and where it starts kind of so promising, and even at times there's a bit of a tension there, because you're not sure if the kids are going to go for it or not, or if they're going to go on Kendall's side, and it looks like he actually is making some progress there. And then, of course, at the end, he just ends up yelling at them all, telling them to get the fuck out, and telling Connor he doesn't matter, and all this stuff, and it just ends really brutally, the way that they treat each other, and Kendall really distances himself from them, and that kind of starts the whole arc of the rest of the season there, with their relationship between Kendall and Shiv, and Roman and Connor. So yeah, just a really great sequence there in the episode. And then we also had some great stuff with Greg, the start of the kind of Greenpeace whole bit there, and the thing with his grandfather, and the whole will and all that stuff. So just some really great components here in this episode. And like I said, that main sequence was definitely a standout. And to me, that's where I kind of got that idea of the best written episode, because that is just amazing writing, what happened there. And I'm sure maybe a little bit of it was improv from those great actors. But I don't know, some of the writing there was just really stellar, and like I said, really funny, but also worked really on a dramatic level as well. So really great stuff. Can't say enough about that episode for Succession. All right, so and that's only number 10, so there you go. So number 9 is What We Do in the Shadows, Season 3, Episode 3, titled Gale. This one I really like. This is my second favorite episode of Shadows Season 3. So we get the guest spot, the guest appearance of Aida Turturro from The Sopranos, Janice, right? Really great to see her in this episode. Kind of a shock, too, because I didn't know that she was in this at all. And so to bring her in as kind of Nandor's old girlfriend, just was really funny, really great. And she was just so good in the role. Easily one of the best guest performances of the year that I saw. Yeah, just really funny. And she really kind of captured the theme and the kind of tone of the show really seamlessly, just coming in here for a single episode. And I felt like she really captured that well. And obviously that's probably the director as well, who, did a really good job in maintaining that. But yeah, I thought she was just great. And then beyond that storyline, which is really, really funny with Kayvon Novak, Aida Turturro, kind of that chemistry between them was great too. But also, besides that was the whole plot with Laszlo and Colin, and fixing up this old car, and it's just such great physical comedy from Mark Proksch and of course Matt Berry as well, and that whole sequence. So really great episode, and to me one of the funniest of the year for sure. And yeah, probably my second favorite episode of Shadows this season. And I did have quite a few. There were quite a few episodes. Again, while the season itself didn't blow me away, I thought it was a little bit of a step down from last season. Again, some of the episodes, though, in this season easily were some of the best of the series to me. And you'll see one in particular that'll be down on this list as well, that I thought was amazing. So anyways, we'll get to that. All right. So next at number 8, we have Reservation Dogs, Season 1, Episode 2, NDN Clinic. This, to me, again, was one of the funniest episodes of the year. This one was so good. To me, the best episode of Reservation Dogs. Wow, so funny. And just the whole concept of them going to this clinic for the day. Of course, it starts out with Bear, our kind of main character there, getting beat up, right? So then he has to go to this clinic to get fixed up. But of course, it's also kind of playing into that, world of what it's like in those types of clinics, right? And exploring this kind of, again, this environment that maybe isn't necessarily explored that much. And also, is not really explored in a comedic way, and they do really great job at doing that in this episode. Again, just taking kind of a small concept of them just going to this clinic and making it just a really funny thing, and just including so many great beats in here. I just thought the cast was really great, and of course, the guest performance here was just really amazing of the doctor. I'm forgetting the actor's name now, but anyways, just an amazing job by him as the doctor. I feel like he kind of stole the show in this episode. He was great at trying to hit on Bear's mom, who works in the clinic, and that whole thing. Just a really kind of terrible doctor. It was almost to the point where it was kind of absurd, but it was just not quite over that line where it was really, really funny, and it just really worked with the whole rest of the episode. And I also thought that it was one of the best moments for Cheese, or Lane Factor's character as well, in his whole moment with this grandma who thinks he's her son or her grandson. So anyways, really funny episode. I felt like the comedy was really firing on all cylinders. And this was Sterling Harjo who wrote this one. No surprise there. He was really great. Whole season of Reservation Dogs, while I had, some problems, I thought it was a little uneven. Still really great show. And as you see in my top 5 TV shows video there, one of my favorite shows of the year for sure. All right. So number 7 then is Mayor of Easttown, season 1, or I guess it was limited series. So just episode 7, Sacrament. This was an amazing episode. Everything kind of building up to this big finale of Mayor of Easttown, and the twist here was really shocking to me. I didn't see it. Although I will say I wasn't really following a lot of kind of the discussion or the theories going on with the audience of people watching the show. So it was a twist that really worked for me. I thought it was really great that it ends up being the young boy who does this, and John Ross, the dad, kind of takes the fall for it, and I guess he is partially guilty anyways, but he kind of takes the fall for that. Wow, what an episode. And just kind of a jam-packed episode too. Going into this, I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff to kind of resolve here. Once we get this twist towards the beginning of the episode, or I guess it's like halfway through, there's still a lot of stuff left, and just some really heartbreaking scenes between Julianne Nicholson and Kate Winslet's characters. If you watch my top 10 most memorable performances, you'll definitely see one of those scenes in there. Just a heartbreaking scene, and just amazing acting from both of them. Just the whole cast was really great this season, but those two in particular were just amazing. So just a really great way to wrap this story up, and again, just a really great twist that really worked for me at least. I just really, really love the whole way this episode was laid out. And like I said, just really jam-packed, and a lot of stuff at the end of the episode in particular. And I just love the ending of this one with the shot. I don't want to, I've already spoiled a few things, but I don't want to go into too much detail. But anyways, the last shot of the episode I thought was just so perfect for what this whole story has been and where we started. Just a really great wrap-up of this story for Mayor of Easttown in the finale here. So yeah, had to highlight that one for sure. All right. So number 6 then, next, is going to be Heels Season 1, Episode 4, Cutting Promos. So this is actually the only Heels episode on this list. I could have easily had a couple more. I really liked, 3 or 4 of the episodes really stood out to me of Heels. Again, if you watch my video, one of my favorite shows of the year, or one of my top shows of the year in there, I believe it was number 5. So this episode to me is the best of the season. Just a really great direction here. They have this one sequence where they are filming, so the episode's called Cutting Promos, so they are literally filming this promo on their phone, but the way that it's actually directed in the episode, it kind of just plays out, and you don't know that they're filming this with their phone until the very end, and they kind of bring you out of it, and then you're watching it on the phone. And just such a really great way, such a good choice for the director here to take that whole sequence and make it really look like you're just, you don't even know exactly what's happening. You don't know it's a promo, and it just seems like you're just watching this play out until then you kind of pull back. And also the quality, if you don't notice it right away, is a little bit lesser because it's actually being taken on this phone. So anyways, that sequence really stands out to me in this episode. But beyond that, just some really great character development in this episode. I thought some really great stuff for Ace and Alexander Skarsgård's character, kind of playing on that and seeing what the effects of those two matches that we've seen previously are having on him, and especially his relationship with Jack, and that kind of is evolving in this episode as well. So yeah, just a really well-balanced episode. Again, really great directing, and I think really great writing too. Some of the best writing of this episode as well. And also, we get Chris Bauer in there, who I think, if you watch my memorable performances video, I think it's the end of this episode that his kind of performance that I highlighted in that video, and to me one of the most impressive kind of sequences this year to watch an actor performing in, I believe it was at the end of this episode, and it was just excellent stuff. And of course, from that scene, we also kind of start to see the downfall of Chris Bauer's character and that kind of redemption arc that he's on towards the end of the season, which I really enjoyed. So, really great episode from Heels. Again, I probably could have highlighted more than one, but this episode really stuck out to me from this great first season of Heels, and season 2 is on its way, so really excited for that, and I'm sure we'll have some more memorable episodes next year from that one. Alright, so next at number 5 then, we have The Northwater, Episode 2, We Men Are Wretched Things. This was, to me, the best episode of the miniseries here for The Northwater. Like I said, for Heels, I could probably put more than one episode, especially episode 4, I thought was some of the best direction and cinematography that I saw on television this year. It was simply cinematic. Again, I talked about this one of my top 5 TV shows. I think it was number 4 there. But yeah, this episode to me really stood out though. In terms of the writing especially, I thought was really great. And kind of setting up this mystery that really plays out in the next 3 episodes. Because up to this point, it is kind of mysterious, it is dark, but we aren't really following a clear plot yet. We kind of have the main plot of them, we find out in the first episode very early on, so very light spoiler, but that the captain is, trying to sink the ship, right? And the crew do not know, especially our main character does not know, Jack O'Connell, playing our main character, Sumner. So we kind of have that plot, but it's not really, it's kind of just in the background at this point. But this episode is where the main plot really comes in full force, with Henry Drax, played by Colin Farrell, and his crime, or at least they suspect that he committed this crime. And then we see towards the end of the episode that it's essentially being covered up, and that it's a real problem. It's not just, okay, it happened, we'll move on. They really can't move on from it. It is so irreparable. It is so, evil, really, at the end of this episode, that the thing that happens, the crime or the event, that they really can't move on from this. And at this point, Henry Drax is going to be the problem, and that he's going to be the villain, basically, for the rest of the season. Because up to this point, he almost is just played as kind of a parallel to Sumner, and it's just kind of the two of them. He's a little crazy, he's a little violent, but you're not really quite sure of what he's capable of, and at this point, yeah, it's all just revealed very quickly. So, again, also really dark. The direction, amazing in this as well. We have this one sequence where they hunt down this whale. They kill their first whale. Oh my, I mean, just amazing directing, the choices as well, and, having the shots with, Henry Drax, Colin Farrell stabbing the whale down with the spear. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that. Just, again, really great direction, cinematography, everything going into that just looks so great and so cinematic. Just a really great sequence there, and easily one of the best sequences of the year for me. So yeah, really excellent episode. Again, the whole miniseries, was well one of my top five TV shows of the year. But yeah, this was some of the most impressive stuff that I've seen probably since the Chernobyl miniseries a couple years ago. In terms of the direction and just the overall quality of what was visually on screen. Just amazing stuff. Really looking forward to what Andrew Haig does next, man. Really looking forward to that, and I can't recommend this miniseries enough. But yeah, probably my favorite episode there. All right, so number 4 then next, we have Succession, Season 3, Episode 5, Retired Janitors of Idaho. This, to me, was the second best episode of Succession this season. And like I said, I think maybe the second episode, like I mentioned earlier, is maybe the best written episode. I think this is probably one of the best directed episodes. Really enjoyed the whole kind of twist of this one, that Logan has this infection and then he actually starts going kind of crazy a little bit, right? They call it like pea crazy and all that kind of thing in the episode. And that twist was really great because we already see a little bit of the kind of preview of that in episode 4, where he kind of has he struggles and he's kind of really exhausted walking out there with Adrian Brody and at his house. It's his island or whatever. And so then we get into this episode, and it feels like they just kind of downplayed that and it's gone, but then it kind of comes back in a big way in this episode, and it kind of just twists the entire episode on its end here because it really shifts everything. Right at the beginning, he's in control. It's this convention. They're trying to get this, the board seats. They're trying to get the board's approval here, I guess. And then all of a sudden, he's basically gone mentally, and so then they have to take over for him. So just a really great sequence here. Again, some really great writing. The comedy was really great. I believe this is the episode where we get Greg Sue Greenpeace, which was one of my favorite bits of the entire season. Really excellent stuff. And I love the part where Kendall kind of comes in, and again, we kind of revisit that dynamic between him and the other kids with, Roman and Shiv especially. And that kind of hatred that they have developed for him at that time, and him trying to kind of interfere with things and try to be kind of at arm's length with the company and what's going on, but also trying to be separate. So I just love all those dynamics that are going into this one, and maybe the most action-packed, if you could say that. I'm not sure that's the right way to describe it, but one of the most action-packed episodes, because this one, really, a lot of stuff happened in it, which you can't always say for Succession, and you can't always say that for a few of these episodes this season, where they kind of just are kind of rehashing the same types of things, and it's really enjoyable to watch, but the actual plot itself is not being furthered that much. This episode, on the other hand, really kind of went, beyond that and really kind of furthered that plot and really laid the groundwork for, I think, what happens later in the season then, where we get, again, some more of that action or I guess that kind of movement of the plot, in that kind of progression there. So anyways, one of my favorite episodes of the year easily, and one of my favorites is Succession, which, spoiler alert, was my favorite show of the year. So really great stuff there. All right, now we are in our top 3. And yeah, these ones were really great episodes. The rest of these, really great, really enjoyed them, but I think these top 3 really stood out and were ones that I really kind of thought about first when I started making this list. I said, yeah, I think those 3 are going to be up there. So anyways, number 3 then is Mare of Easttown, Season 1, or I guess just Episode 5, Illusions. This one was crazy. Whereas the finale had this great twist and kind of brought everything together, again, a really jam-packed episode, but really brought everything together in a really meaningful and satisfying way, this episode had maybe even a bigger twist that didn't really bring things together, but man, did it really shake things up. And again, kind of like I said, for a lot of these, kind of laid the groundwork in a big way for the rest of the season, and really had a big impact on Kate Winslet's character Mare at the center of the story here. So this one, I don't want to spoil, I guess, too much. I've said some spoilers here, but a really main character dies in this episode, and very quickly, very shockingly. And it also is this conclusion to this story that's been kind of a B plot, I would say, throughout the entire series so far up to this point, that really kind of comes to the surface here. And they're not sure if this is connected to the main story they're investigating or not. And so it kind of becomes the main focus of this episode, and where they actually go into this house where these two girls are being held by this guy, and raped, and all the kind of dark kind of stuff that they're exploring here. And it's just really tragic, of course, but also kind of satisfying, because at the end, Mare is able to rescue these girls and bring them home. And so again, just a whole sequence of that. The direction, absolutely excellent by Craig Zobel here. That whole sequence where they're in the house, and then we have the girls banging on the pipe, and just the tension, everything going into that scene is just so great. And then we also had some other great stuff in this episode. With Evan Peters and Kate Winslet, their kind of relationship developing here up until the last scene, or until about, that big kind of climax. But yeah, just a really great episode, and kind of bringing, again, a lot of these kind of minor plots and stories that you weren't sure if they were ever actually going to explore fully. And they definitely did in this episode, and again, kind of brought that to the surface. Really enjoyed this episode, and I think I've seen it on a lot of people's top episodes of the year. I think deservingly so. This one was really great. All right, so number 2, as promised, this is What We Do in the Shadows, Season 3, Episode 4, The Casino. This, to me, is one of the best episodes of the series, if not the best that they've done so far. This was just so great. Again, the comedy really landing, and the whole cast I just felt like was really great, really firing on all cylinders here. I feel like there was definitely a little bit of improv at times too, and them kind of being on location, kind of switching up the setting of this episode. And literally being at this casino. I felt like it just really brought out the best in this cast and in the writing, where it was just kind of fresh and really funny at the same time. Just a really great episode. Mark Proksch was a standout in this one. Natasia Dimitriou was also really great in her scenes. And of course, Matt Berry as well. So also bringing back a couple characters from previous seasons. That was really great to kind of tie them into this story. But yeah, probably the funniest episode of TV I watched this year. Definitely the best comedic episode of the year. This one was just so excellent. And a lot of just funny sequences in it that all kind of paired together, really kind of came together in a good balance there. And also a little heartwarming too, a little bit of that kind of emotional aspect of this episode towards the end, and them kind of trusting Guillermo, or Guillermo being welcomed in a little bit more into this vampire family towards the end of the episode. That was just really great to see as well. And again, I feel like the show's kind of at its best when it is highlighting those aspects as well, beyond just the kind of laugh out loud comedy. So really great stuff there. At number 2, we have What We Do in the Shadows, Episode 4 from this Season 3. All right, so number 1, it's you probably guessed it. It is from Succession, of course. So number 1 is Succession, Season 3, Episode 1, Succession. This one I felt like was the best episode, or at least one of the best of this season of Succession. I did like it better than the finale. I know a lot of people really loved the finale, and the finales of the previous 2 seasons have been the best of those seasons. But to me, I think it's the premiere for this season. The comedy in this one was so great. And me coming back to this, of course, this is the first time I've had seen the show in over 2 years, right? 2, calendar years. It had been since the finale of season 2 to now the premiere. And when I, the first few minutes of this episode, or kind of getting into it again, I forgot how hilarious this really was. And the comedy, again, from Jesse Armstrong writing this episode, was just firing on all cylinders in this episode. Just hilarious stuff, but also a really great introduction again to the season, and kind of bringing us back into this world, and seeing the kind of fallout from Kendall's whole thing with the press conference. And I felt like, again, whereas the rest of the season, that kind of plot falls by the wayside, which I wasn't a huge fan of. However, though, this episode, it's really emphasized, and they really play it out and kind of see Kendall, on cloud nine, thinking that he's going to take everything down. And again, I just love the whole concept of that, and him being, high up and being above Logan. Logan's kind of hiding out in this, in a foreign country in this hotel room, and Kendall's now like the king in New York and all this stuff. I really love those dynamics there and what they were exploring. And again, I feel like the comedy was just so great in this episode. And like I said, it's a drama for Succession, or like I have been saying, it's a drama, but this was one of the funniest episodes of the year, easily. Just some really great stuff. And yeah, just a really great witty writing here from Jesse Armstrong throughout. I also thought the direction from Mark Mylod was great. A lot of these sequences where Kendall's coming out and the news reporters are on him and all that stuff, I really enjoyed that. And also just kind of capturing the tone of what that is, and how, happy he is, and it kind of showing that, exploring that throughout the episode, and kind of that parallel with Logan. I thought the editing of that was also really well done. So really great stuff there. So number 1 is Succession, season 3, episode 1. Yeah. Really love Succession, of course, my top favorite, or my top show of the year, and so of course had to put one of their episodes as my number 1 this year. But anyways, that'll just about do it then for my top 10 list of my favorite or best TV episodes of 2021. Alright, so that'll just about do it then for my top 10 episodes of the year. Really enjoyed putting this one together, like I said off the top, especially highlighting a couple of these shows that I didn't necessarily talk that much about during the year, and kind of, pointing out some really great episodes that we got from those shows. And of course, highlighting some of my favorite shows of the year as well, with some of their best episodes. So yeah, really love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one, like I said off the top. What were some of your favorite episodes of the year? What are some of your thoughts on my picks? Do you agree or disagree? Love to discuss that with you guys as well. And obviously, feel free to share kind of your overall thoughts on the year as well. On any of these countdown videos. Love to hear you guys' kind of thoughts on what you thought of just the general theme of the year, and how you felt about it compared to previous years, all that stuff. Really love to discuss with you guys as always. So anyways, my award show, which will be coming up in the next few days, really excited for that one, so please stay tuned for that one and check it out. Yeah, really enjoyed putting that one together. It's a bit of a longer one, takes a little bit more time, but yeah, really enjoyed putting that one together, and hearing your guys' thoughts on the awards as well. Really looking forward to that. So anyways, stay tuned for that one, and also my monthly recap for December should also be coming out very soon as well. But anyways, once again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this one, and we'll see you then in my next video.
Don't sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world.